just have it.
Hello and welcome to the program. I am Dennis Adigunloye. It is not often that plenary sittings are strictly confined to the order paper, but this is what played out in the first plenary of the week and in a bill sponsored by Senator representing Kogi West Smart Adeyemi. The nature of Nigeria's landlord-tenant contractual agreements took center stage as the legislators are of the view that when passed, the bill will ameliorate the financial burden of paying house rents on residents of the FCT. The bill proposes payment of rent on a monthly basis as opposed to the current 1, 2 or 3 year payment.
As low-income earners who cannot afford continually pay their rent engage in measures which are illegal or unlawful.
Even those who are homeowners, there is no use somebody struggle to pay you the first one and subsequently you are dragging almost every day.
It's whether it is just to ask the clerk of the Senate, whose salary is not up to 800,000 or maybe 400, to pay 2 million at once in advance. Where are you expecting him to get that money?
Government can go into housing schemes, mortgage schemes, housing credit facilities, not control the business of private individuals. I therefore oppose vigorously this bill.
Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time say aye. Aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Other issues that came up during Tuesday's plenary include passage through second reading of the National Health Act 2014 Amendment Bill and the Solid Minerals Development Bank Establishment Bill.
And there's a strong need for stakeholders to work together to ensure that reliable and affordable healthcare reaches all segments of society.
To provide working capital loans to eligible enterprise where the projects are unable to secure same from the banking system, that is the commercial banking.
At Wednesday's plenary, the Senate urged security agencies to be more decisive in dealing with bandits terrorizing certain parts of the country. This followed a motion by Senator representing Katsina South, Bello Madia.
The motion explained that despite government's efforts in curbing insecurity in the country, these crimes have persisted. Senate urged federal government to deploy security personnel and fighter jets to apprehend the bandits and restore normalcy in the affected communities.
If this menace is not drastically promptly addressed, the consequence is going to be huge on food sufficiency, since the affected communities are mostly farmers.
When we declared the bandits as terrorists, my understanding was that they are going to be dealt with ruthlessly now. I wonder whether that is the case. The military, like some of our colleagues have said, need to wake up.
Also at plenary, the bill for an act to establish the National Social Security Commission and that for the establishment of a National Veterinary Research Institute Gombe passed second reading and were referred to the relevant committees.
The security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government.
This proposal oriented from the need to establish an institutional framework to support the only veterinary research institute in Gombe. Plateau State.
7 nominees for appointment as National Commissioners and Electoral Commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, were confirmed by the Senate after considering the report submitted by the Senate Committee on INEC.
Nigeria is expecting a lot from them, and they will have a baptism of fire, because 2023 is just by the corner. In fact, the process has already started.
Clerk to the National Assembly, Olatunde Amos Ojo, has transmitted the authenticated copies of the Electoral Bill 2022 to President Muhammadu Buhari for assent. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly matters, Senator Babajide Omoworare, explained that this is in accordance with the provisions of Section 58, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, the Authentication Act of 2004. Mr. President had withheld assent to the Electoral Bill 2021 transmitted to him on the 19th of November 2021. The Electoral Bill was thereafter reworked by the National Assembly, and both the Senate and the House of Representatives passed same on the 25th of January 2022. Meanwhile, Senator representing Nasarawa South, Umaru Tanko Amakura, says 2022 is a crucial year for the nation's democracy. Speaking during an exclusive interview, Senator Amakura said fairness, transparency and inclusion are abiding principles of a successful democratic process.
So I believe if the leaders who are driving the process for the emergence of leadership adhere to certain order, certain guidelines, certain rules, certain laws, I'm sure will succeed. And to do that is to ensure fairness, to ensure level playing field, and to ensure that the process is transparent. Whatever method is used, whether direct, indirect, or consensus, what is most important is the credibility of the process.
The Senate leadership has engaged in an interactive session with revenue-generating agencies on ways of boosting the rate of IGR in order to reduce the budget deficit and borrowing.
Our government-owned enterprises can generate, in fact, I think, up to 3 trillion if we remain with that mindset that we can achieve that.
You need to come up with various forms of initiatives to broaden your sources of revenue and block as much as possible the perceived leakages.
The Fiscal Responsibility Act is amended completely, that will give more fillip to the efforts of this parliament to earn more revenue, sir.
Any agencies that are partly funded by the federal government is to the extent that the federal government will pay their personnel and give them some subvention in the area of capital. Are expected to pay 80% of whatever they accrue to them as operational surplus into the coffers of the government.
This act is confusing. And if stakeholders decide to take leverage of this, they can decide to say, we are not supposed to collect duties and levies.
We achieve a collection of 6.4 trillion naira in 2021. We are going to leverage on all the strategies.
A forensic audit of MDAs, the Senate believes, will give a clearer picture of their revenue-generating status. The Senate Committee on Sports has asked the National Lottery Regulatory Commission to comply with the advice of the Attorney General of the Federation on out-of-court settlements of disputes between it and System Numeric to enable Nigeria to begin to generate revenue from lottery activities. This was at a meeting with the duo over a court case between them.
The bone of contention in the matter is which company won the central monitoring system bid to regulate the lottery activities to generate revenue for the country. The bid, which was carried out in 2013, led to a court case that has lasted 8 years, thereby denying the country of revenue of over 3 trillion naira in the sports sector. After listening to both parties, the committee ruled that rather than wait for the outcome of the court, an out-of-court option settlement be reached as earlier advised by the Attorney General of the Federation, who is the #1 law officer.
Report back to the Senate 2 weeks from today, and this will stop wasting of revenue from federal government.
In spite of the Attorney General's instruction, they have never invited us for one day, even in spite of a court injunction.
Now, 5 months into the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, there are indications that Nigeria is on the path of a transparent fiscal framework in the oil and gas industry. Group Managing Director of the Nnpc Limited, Melik Kyari, said this to the Senate Committee on Petroleum Resources Upstream during an oversight visit to the organization.
Last week we began our industry-wide oversight by taking a visit to the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, and we had quite some exhaustive deliberations on the way and manner they've implemented the Petroleum Industry Act. We also got to know some of their challenges and also prefer the way forward. On the basis of the outcome of that meeting, I think we have a follow-up meeting by the PIA steering committee with us on the 4th, which I think on Thursday or so, if I'm not mistaken. Clark, I hope I'm right. And then, so what we're here to do today, the GMD, is to understand the way and manner and the strategy that you have put in place to implement the Petroleum Industry Act as it relates to Nnpc Limited. And let me, at this juncture, thank you personally for the efforts and your contributions to the National Assembly towards the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act. That's your personal efforts. It's recognized and well appreciated by our leadership and our good selves, and we enjoin you to keep it up. We've had a very cordial relationship between your good selves and the National Assembly, and of course you know that on the structure of the Petroleum Industry Act, you are fully owned by government 100%, which further emphasizes the fact that you are still under the oversight of the National Assembly. But we believe that what we are here to achieve, quite frankly, is that the signing into law of this act by Mr. President has given us, the present 9th Assembly, an ample time to ensure the full implementation, the full takeoff of most of the institutions and the full implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, having been part of the team which processed this act. We also believe that since we are here, you will give us more information about the way and manner you intend to explore the frontier basin, of course. And then after that, like we had agreed as a committee, and your good self, we'll have an opportunity to visit the frontier, to also which will also enable the country and also throw more light on the activities of Nnpc as regards the management of a frontier business. We are very hopeful that you have the requisite capacity, and I must commend you for turning Nnpc into a profit-making venture after over 20 years of its existence. And we believe that now that you are running as a limited liability company under every other regulatory oversight, that the essence and the objective for which the PIA was meant to achieve in this regard will be fully guaranteed, which is about transparency and accountability. But we believe strongly in your capacity, and want to assure you, as members of this National Assembly, we will ensure very strict oversight and effective monitoring of your activities from time to time. So I want to say that on behalf of my colleagues, that we appreciate the warm reception that you've accorded us since we came in, and we believe that we'll have a very fruitful oversight visit. And by the time we are done, we'll leave far more better, well informed about the activities of Nnpc Limited post PIA implementation. And I also believe that you now have an opportunity to even tell us every other thing you think you can relay that will enable us also ensure that the PIA, as regards the Nnpc Limited, all the provisions there are strictly adhered to. We are equally at the National Assembly at the verge of amending the PIA based on Mr. President's request. I believe that yes, we had assured Mr. President that this bill will be subject to amendments upon amendments until we arrive at the desired workable that will ensure and guarantee competitiveness in the global oil business in Nigeria. So we want to thank you for this understanding, and also thank Mr. President for finding you worthy to lead the Nnpc Limited as its founding CEO. And we believe that you will not disappoint the confidence reposed in you by Mr. President. So I think on that note, I want to once again thank you for receiving us, and I can now ask you to proceed with your comments as well as your presentation. Then after which our members, our distinguished colleagues, will be given an opportunity to ask their questions. Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator Chairman, and very distinguished members of this committee, many of whom I know very well, all of them I know personally. Let me reiterate that having been around engaging on the Petroleum Industry Act process, I know for sure that without the energy of this committee and very many members of this committee, the Petroleum Industry Act would not have been passed. And we know the history. This is a struggle in the industry for over 20 years, or in the country for over 20 years, that didn't pass, and God in His infinite mercy and with the energy and the support of this committee, the downstream committee and the gas committee, we're able to see the light of the day. And today we're in entirely a new situation in the oil and gas industry. I can confirm to you also from my interactions with our peers and partners across the globe, we probably have one of the most transparent fiscal systems in the world today, clearly very competitive in every respect in the world, and that the end result today, distinguished senators, I would just also like to confirm to you that very many of our partners who have not been investing in this country in the last 10 years, there are major decline in capital investment in this industry in the last 20 years actually, not even 10 years. And if you look at data, year to year, we are at 50% of what it was 10 years ago. So this is the level of the impact of the absence of a clear regulatory framework that had on our industry. And the end result is that we stagnated. The industry could not grow. We couldn't create the jobs that we can create. We also could not bring all the revenues that are possible to be put on the table. But today, by the sheer passage of the petroleum industry, and we have seen responses from our partners. Some of you were seated in my office. That was the managing director of ExxonMobil companies in Nigeria. And he came to confirm that they will be in position to make commercial decisions as a result of the fiscal environment that they are seeing in place today. So it is a very good thing that has happened to our country, and we believe that in the short term we'll see the benefits coming on the table. Having said this, the law has been passed. It throws new challenges at all of us. I'm also privileged to be appointed the CEO of the company that you created by virtue of the petroleum industry as the Nnpc Limited. And I'm sure that when you come back the next time, you will not see the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation on our emblems and our logos. The transformation process has taken in earnest. We are doing every consultation that is necessary to make sure that this company reflects what the law says, both the Petroleum Industry Act and what is required of it by the Company and Allied Matters Act. Both of them are acts passed by the National Assembly. We're making very significant progress. As you may be aware, we have incorporated the Nnpc Limited. That is why I was appointed the Chief Executive of the Nnpc Limited. We have gone ahead to implement every possible provision of the law in respect of re-engineering the company, setting the board of directors of the company, having the board meetings of the company so that they can take decision on many things that the law requires us to do. And more importantly, there's a transition process that we have put in place. There's a transition committee internal that we have put in place, which is looking at the provisions of the law end to end, and also the requirement of a business like our own so that you can make progress and also deliver value to shareholders. Critical to all this is transfer of assets. The law provided that within 24 months of the passage of the law, assets of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, those of them that will be transferred to the Nnpc Limited will be done within 24 months period, and then the chapter on the existence of the Nnpc as corporation will close at that point in time. It also provided for potential IPO situation where interest of this company can be sold by the Federation if this is so deemed, but this is not within a period of 30 months. So we know that this is work in progress. We are preparing this company to be IPO ready. IPO ready means that this company is profitable, is managed with the best world practices, is transparent, is accountable, its books are open and seen by all, and also it imbibes all the protocols that is required in compliance with existing rules and regulations. That's the only way you can go to IPO. By any means, whether you do IPO or not, by the time you do this, you will have a very profitable company that will be delivering value to its shareholders. It's already been so. We did not lose money last year. We didn't lose money in year 2020. And this will continue to grow. This value will continue to grow so that we can return value to our shareholders. As I speak to you now, we have set up a robust implementation team that is also aligned with the expectation of oversight, not just by the National Assembly, also by the leadership of the Petroleum Ministry. No distraction whatsoever. I can confirm to you that whatever we are doing, because this, as you have clearly pointed out, it's a government company as we speak now, wholly owned by government. So we do review some of these things that we are doing, even though as we are a Kama company, but without any complications, and we are clearly supported by this process. We need to also give an opportunity for you to be aware of what we are doing in the frontier exploration activities. Needless to say that just like my brother called distinguished Senator Kempauchi said, is the oil producing. We have found commercial oil in the Benue Trough. We have a line of sight around very many other prospects on the Anambra platform in the Calabar Plank. We will test all of them. We also have seen significant potential of oil even in the Chad Basin, in the Bida Basin and Sokoto Basin, and also in what we call the Dahomey Basin around Epe, and significant progress that we are making in terms of data study and data analysis, so that we can test those prospects in order of their prospectivity. And needless to say that time is of essence as we see this energy transition conversation going on. We know for sure that any oil that you don't find in the next 5 years, you will not need to find it again. That's really the reality that we are dealing with. Because we've also been everything possible to develop the available resources in the best and the quickest possible manner, so that value can be put on the table for the benefit of all Nigerians. Thank you very much.
Well, that concludes the program this week. Till next week, I'm Dennis at Digunluya. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.